NCIS just ended season 23 with a gunshot, a screen going black, and absolutely no answers. And I honestly sat in front of that television for a full minute after it happened, just trying to process what the show had done to me. Because the finale gave us Vance back. It gave us Kayla stepping into her father's shadow and choosing to carry it forward. It gave us LaRoche eyeing that director's chair in a way that made me genuinely uncomfortable. And then it gave us Matteo Garcia standing in a dark alley with a gun in his waistband telling TORRES to walk away. And then the gunshot and the black screen and nothing. Let's talk about all of it. The flashback that opens the episode. The bombing case. What Vance told Kayla about the director's chair before he died. What LaRoche is actually building toward. And most importantly, what that gunshot means and what the showrunner confirmed about who got hit. Because there is a lot to unpack, and the answers are more complicated than a simple yes or no. The finale opens a year ago. Kayla Vance is FaceTiming her father from a coffee shop near her house. Director Vance is on screen. They are talking. And then the call disconnects. And a bomb goes off. And Kayla runs into the wreckage trying to help. And she never finds the bodies of Evan, a little boy who was her neighbor, or his father. And that image of Kayla looking through smoke and rubble for a child she cannot find has haunted her for an entire year. And it is the reason she has been quietly building something on her own ever since. Because Kayla did not accept the FBI's conclusion that the coffee shop bombing was the work of a lone wolf. She applied for private grants. She assembled her own team. She started monitoring online extremist chat rooms for early warning signs of the next attack. And Director Vance found out. And instead of shutting her down, instead of telling her to stay in her lane, he told her he was proud. He told her she was taking the lead. And in a boxing gym somewhere, sparring with his daughter, he looked at her and said, "You might feel the director's seat one day." And I honestly could not watch that flashback without feeling the cruelty of what happened to him 2 months ago. In the present, a new explosion goes off under identical circumstances to the first, and the NCIS team concludes immediately what the FBI always denied. This is not a lone wolf. This is a coordinated conspiracy. And Kayla walks back into that building with everything she has been building quietly for a year and puts it on the table. And the team works the case together. They track the first bomber, a man named Brian Wallace, through an online chat room called Archive. Wallace was radicalized by reading a book written by a man named Ren, who built an entire career preaching rage against corporations. And then Ren started shorting stocks right before the bombings, profiting from the panic, becoming the exact thing his book said he hated. The team finds Hank, someone connected to Wallace, someone whose anger Ren has been feeding, and convinces him to let it go. That his whole life does not need to be thrown away for a man who was only ever in it for the money. Wallace is arrested for the attempted bombing. Ren is arrested for the actual one. And the case closes, but LaRoche does not let it close cleanly. Gabriel LaRoche, the Associate Attorney General, who has been eyeing Vance's director's chair since the moment it became empty, arrives with information that one of Kayla's grants came from dirty money, contaminated sources, and he shuts the entire investigation down and suggests that Vance knew. That Vance helped his daughter fund an operation using illegal money. And watching Kayla have to defend her father's name while simultaneously grieving him, while simultaneously trying to prove that the man who believed in her was not corrupt, is one of the most emotionally exhausting things this show has produced all season. Eventually, the team proves Kayla's investigation was legitimate, but LaRoche leaves the episode still circling that director's chair. And I honestly think he is going to be one of season 24's central problems. And then there is Matteo. McGee brought his son to Ncis for a tour. Matteo appeared to be considering an internship. He seemed interested. He seemed engaged. And McGee, who has been patiently building a relationship with a young man he never knew existed, let himself believe that this was going well, that his son was genuinely excited about following in his footsteps. And I honestly think that is the most heartbreaking part of everything that follows. Because McGee let his guard down. Because he wanted this so badly. TORRES noticed something was wrong before anyone else did. TORRES realized that Matteo had accessed their servers by pretending to fill out an intern application. He had not been touring the building out of curiosity. He had been using the workstation for something else. And TORRES followed him into a dark alley, away from the building, away from cameras, and he confronted him. And Matteo pulled out a gun, and he looked at TORRES and said, "Turn around and walk away. They could be watching." And TORRES could not walk away, and we heard a gunshot. And the screen went black. Now, the question every single NCIS fan is asking right now, who got shot? And the showrunner Steven Binder confirmed it. Someone was indeed hit by the gunshot. Not a warning shot, not a missed shot. Someone went down in that alley. Whether it was TORRES, whether it was Matteo, or whether a third party arrived and fired. We do not know yet. And Binder said season 24 will either pick up directly in that alley or use flashbacks to show us what happened immediately after. But the consequences are real. And they are coming. And here's what Binder said about Matteo that I honestly think every fan needs to hear before the theories run completely off the rails. He said, his frightened attitude and the way he says they could be watching certainly suggests he's in over his head. It just doesn't feel right to give McGee a son and have the son be truly evil. I don't want to see that. I don't think anyone wants to see it. So it probably will not be that. Matteo is not a villain. He is a young man who got caught up in something he cannot get out of. And whoever has leverage over him, whoever he is so afraid of that he would pull a gun on a federal agent in an alley, is going to be season 24's real threat. And then there is the Gibbs confirmation, because Binder finally said it out loud. The sniper shot on Wayne Rogers last week, the Alaskan salmon, the 500-foot shot that only a handful of people in the world could make. Binder confirmed Rogers had overtly threatened Gibbs's family. He basically said, "I know where you are." So Parker and the team were going to be looking over their shoulders for the rest of their lives. This guy was untouchable. And that is exactly the sort of vacuum that Leroy Jethro Gibbs has stepped into over and over again. So if not now, when? Gibbs came back from Alaska for Vance, and he handled it the only way Gibbs knows how to handle something that the system cannot touch. And Leon, Rocky Carroll back on our screens. In flashbacks, in a boxing gym with his daughter, in a quiet moment telling Kayla she might feel the director's seat one day. And I honestly think the show made the right decision bringing him back this way. Not a dream sequence, not a ghost. Just a father and his daughter before everything changed, living inside a memory that the episode needed you to feel before it could ask you to feel anything else. Binder said something about Vance's future appearances that I cannot stop thinking about. He said, "The idea of seeing Vance be the guy in your ear seems too juicy, because when he's the director, there's a certain level of decorum. But when he's just the guy in your ear, the gloves are off." Vance as a Jiminy Cricket figure, whispering in people's ears at the worst possible moments. The gloves off. I honestly want that more than I have wanted anything from this show in a long time. And Kayla, who has not decided yet whether she is going to leave NCIS to run her independent extremist monitoring team full-time. Binder confirmed she will be back in season 24 in some form. And the question he is sitting with, does she honor her father by following in his footsteps, or does she honor him by blazing her own path, is the most interesting question the finale left open. And I honestly think the answer is going to define what this show looks like in its next chapter. NCIS season 24 is confirmed. No premiere date yet, but based on CBS's scheduling, it will almost certainly return in the fall of 2026. And wherever season 24 begins, in that alley, in the aftermath of that gunshot, with McGee finding out what TORRES found out about his son, it is going to begin with more unresolved weight than any NCIS premiere has carried in years. Drop a comment and tell me, do you think TORRES got shot or Matteo? And do you think Matteo is going to be the most important storyline of season 24? Because after that alley scene, and after everything Binder said about painting himself into a corner on purpose, I honestly think we are heading into the most personal season of NCIS this show has ever attempted.